From oatmeal cream pies to Swiss rolls to Cosmic Brownies, my personal favorite, though I prefer the seasonal ones, comment below if you agree, Little Debbie's wide range of snack cakes are a classic Americana, embedded in the childhood and adulthood experiences of many Americans. And in true American style, we also measure things based on how much money they make, and Little Debbie wins again, owning a third of all snack cake sales in the US, as just one company. But while you're unwrapping your zebra cake, have you ever stopped to think about this iconic brand and who Little Debbie really is? Probably not, but now you will. So, does Little Debbie actually exist? And do you remember it being called Nutty Bars or Nutty Buddies? And is there actually a place where you can climb on an oversized Little Debbie Christmas tree cake? The answers to all of these questions and more start now with 9 things you didn't know about Little Debbie. First, let's go over the history of this iconic brand to learn more about who we need to thank for introducing fudge rounds and Star Crunch into our lives. Picture this. America is in the midst of the Great Depression, and a man named O.D. McKee is trying to make a living out of the back of his truck, selling 5-cent cakes from Becker's Bakery. He's lost much of his money, but he has an entrepreneurial spirit, and he's taking a bet that no matter what's happening in the world, everyone still loves cake. A few years later, he comes up with what is now known as the oatmeal cream pie. He experiments with an existing formula from hard oatmeal cookies to make them much softer with a creamy filling in the middle. Thus, the first Little Debbie snack cake is born, but it wasn't Little Debbie just yet. In the 1950s, the McKee Baking Company is officially started, based off of the success of the bakery that O.D. and his wife Ruth had been running up until that point, with a new plant built in the town of Collegedale, Tennessee. They had taken a risk, had some family drama with extended family members in between, and transferred ownership of various bakeries, but overall, they persevered and succeeded. In 1960, a very important change came to the company, the idea of family snack packs. By packaging multiple snack cakes individually within one box, they could market to families, as well as saving money on production. They were the first in the business, but there was one problem. The story goes that a packaging salesman told O.D. that the name McKee was honestly boring and they needed something better and more memorable to increase sales. There just so happened to be a photo of O.D.'s granddaughter, Debbie, on his desk, and O.D., wanting to still use a family name, had a light bulb moment that would change the brand forever. She was young at the time, just 4 years old, so instead of being Debbie, she was Little Debbie. The photo used as the logo was an illustration by a woman named Pearl Mann, directly based off the portrait of Debbie wearing an adorable straw hat, and the story goes that O.D. didn't actually tell Debbie's parents before he went through with the printing. We'll talk more about the changes to the portrait later in this video, but suffice it to say it hasn't changed that much over the years. Today, Debbie is still involved in the company. She is the executive vice president and serves on the McKee Foods board of directors, so she is very much a real person, and I guess she's not so little anymore, but she'll always be Little Debbie to us. Now, the second thing you didn't know about Little Debbie snack cakes was that in the 1960s, there was a Little Debbie vinyl record with a Little Debbie song on it. On one side, it was the Little Debbie song, which had lyrics like, "Peanut butter, fillings creamy, milky chocolate, frostings dreamy," and on the other was a narrated children's story. This is an incredibly popular item with Little Debbie collectors today, and it was a hit back in the 60s when vinyl records were pretty much a big deal. Other lyrics, in case you're interested, were things like "tasty snacks in 12 packs" and "you'll adore, beg for more." Suddenly, it's no wonder that all of America are hooked on these snack cakes. Now, number 3, one of the absolute most popular Little Debbie snack cakes is the Swiss roll. But O.D. McKee didn't just come up with this all on his own. He had been to Europe looking for the next big star in American snacks, and he came across an existing European food, roulade, which can be savory or sweet, but typically looks something like this. He thought this was a great idea for a small snack cake, and thus the Swiss roll is born, and I have to say that my approximately 5 to 18-year-old self thanks him for this invention, as it was my Little Debbie cake of choice growing up. Number 4, there is some major internet controversy when it comes to Little Debbie, and this has to do with whether the deliciously peanut buttery and chocolate wafer snacks are called Nutty Bars or Nutty Buddies, because many people remember these as Nutty Bars, but others called them Nutty Buddies, and there exists proof that at one time each existed. There hasn't been official reasoning or a statement from McKee Foods, which is disappointing because obviously such an important topic deserves addressing. But Wikipedia seems to think that the reasoning is that today they're called Nutty Buddies, but in the past they were known as Nutty Bars. So at some point along the line, the company just changed the name and packaging without telling the world. However, the drama comes because some contend the official change didn't happen until 2016, and there is actually a photo of both names on the shelf from that year. But others are confused because they've called them Nutty Buddies for no apparent reason long before that. The general hypothesis then is that the company may have changed the name to Nutty Buddies because people were calling them that anyway. Number 5, the Little Debbie logo has only changed twice since 1960. Here you can see the progression, with the first Little Debbie logo based off of the original photo in 1960. In 1985, she was updated, adding more red to her hair, changing the artistic style slightly so the image is more defined, and giving her a lace-embroidered plaid shirt. She didn't change again until 2013, changing very slightly. She's got fewer curls in her hair now, and they took out the lace from her collar. One big difference, though, is they finally removed the hat string, which just makes her look a little bit more modern. And before you panic, do not worry. Debbie herself has approved of these changes and is happy with the new look. So I feel like if it's good enough for Little Debbie, it's good enough for us. Number 6 is Ruth McKee was a fantastic example of a woman in business at a time when it wasn't common for women to work in these types of roles. The wife to O.D. McKee, she was fully involved in Little Debbie from the start, and she worked to manage the employees in the office while O.D. would go out and do the sales work. She hired the truck drivers, purchased the ingredients, and was a huge part of the company's success, being credited as the grounded, more sensible one with a real mind for business that complemented OD's ideas and out-of-the-box thinking. Now, number 7, Little Debbie is still very much a family business. The business is now run by second and third generation members of the McKee family and is starting to be passed down to the fourth generation members who are upholding the legacy of OD and Ruth. As mentioned earlier, Debbie herself is in her late 60s and still involved with the company. One of their mottos is "From our family to yours." Now, number 8, the McKee family are Seventh-day Adventists, and this means that according to religious beliefs, there are some rules around their offices that you might not have expected. For example, on Friday at sundown, all of the logos with the McKee name have to be covered up for the weekend, as well as the large paintings of the founders. This includes the sign that says McKee Foods over the front entrance. In fact, Little Debbie actually sponsored NASCAR from around 2006 to 2010, but the stipulation was that the logos had to be covered on Saturdays to respect the Sabbath. Number 9, in the town of Collegedale, Tennessee, you can now visit Little Debbie Park, opened in 2023 with 10 acres of land donated by the McKee family. While part of the fun is getting to take a picture with the Little Debbie statue, the real joy for me, and the reason that this is going to the top of my bucket list, is the oversized version of the Christmas tree cake, oatmeal cream pie, and Cosmic Brownies. You honestly cannot tell me that your inner child does not want to take a road trip there right this second. Now that brings us to the end of this video. Comment below and let me know your favorite Little Debbie snack cake, and I'll see you next time.